It chronicles why, at a very early age, children are thrust into organized sports long before they have the necessary skills to feel successful. Fathers and mothers are asked to be their coach without having any training on how to coach, and the leagues in which kids play are governed by volunteers whose main focus becomes scoreboards, championships, and all-star games. Statistics show that close to 70% of kids will have quit by the age of 13. Most said it ceased to be fun. And that's why Johnny hates sports.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to, I think, our 21st edition of Why Johnny Hates Sports. We've kind of arranged things a little different this time, doing a thing called Press Box. Now, Press Box, we do from the national headquarters of the National Alliance for Youth Sports, and they collect stories from all over the country about abuse in kids' sports or whatever is happening. So I'm going to introduce you now to the first time we do Press Box. Here we go. Well, there's a story that came out of, I forget where it is exactly, but Juan's going to turn it on for you so you'll see what they had to say in this city about sports and kids.
Police in Cleveland arrest a woman for embezzling more than $16,000 from two youth athletic leagues. News on 6's Emery Bryan is live on the scene in Cleveland. Emery?
Well, here in Cleveland, the baseball and football youth sports leagues had the same treasurer, and now they have the same problem. Money that they raised never made it to the bank. According to police, the treasurer admits that she took the money. When the Youth Baseball League sold these banners to advertisers, they hoped to use the money for improvements at the ball fields. The new concession stand was part of that effort this year. But toward the end of summer, the Baseball League found their bank account was almost empty.
You know, the Center for Fraud Prevention reported that there were hundreds of examples of fraud in kids' sports. You probably wondered and say, how can this happen? I mean, you know, you got a treasurer, you got money, somebody's accountable. Well, what happens in kids' sports is you've got the organization and you got a ball field and somebody says, well, we need to have a soccer program here. And so Al Smith or whoever it happens to be goes down to the rec department and says, we'd like to use a field. So they get the coaches, they get the organizers, the guys or women that are board of directors, and they had their meeting and somebody says, hey, you know, we need somebody to run this concession stand because we got to get some money, bring it in. Anybody volunteer? And Martha raises her hand in the back room and says, yeah, I'll do it. And nobody says anything. Martha goes and yeah, she got the hot dogs and rolls and chips and drinks and whatever in there. And people are coming up during the games and paying money for this and that. Nobody cares. Nobody says, hey, Martha's doing a good job, right? Yeah, right. To the tune of that one there and others won $46,000 one league, you know. I mean, so that's what happens in kids' sports. So a lot of people suffer for all of that. So let me take you to the next one here.
Well, developing this morning, we're getting a closer look at court records surrounding a former Knoxville West High School football coach who faces multiple charges of sexual battery.
Aaron Velasquez joins us in the newsroom. Aaron, what new details are we learning this morning?
Good morning, Abby, Heather. A Knox County grand jury indicted Richard Shaver on 4 counts of sexual battery by an authority figure and 2 counts of attempted sexual battery by an authority figure. Sevier County officials arrested Shaver last week after the indictment.
So, you know, some of those people that, you know, sign up like my wife and I did for our kids, sign them up for sports and whatnot, you know, who's coaching? You know, Joe, you know, our friend or whoever it is down the street, he volunteered to coach because his son's going to play, and that's why he volunteered. So then you don't know what's happening with Joe. And you know what? To the tune of thousands of kids are being sexually abused because nobody ever stopped to say, who is this guy or who is this gal? And, I look back and I remember reading about Boy Scouts of America. And I saw a thing here, the Boy Scouts. In 1922, get this, 2.46 billion, that's a B, not an M, billion settlement was approved to compensate 82,000 kids and Boy Scouts. You probably say, well, that's the Boy Scouts. What about kids' sports? Well, there's the difference. See, Boy Scouts, you could say Boy Scouts of America, or sure, I heard of Boy Scouts of America. Have you ever heard of Youth Sports of America? No. Have you ever heard of a Jonesville Youth League? Sure. And whatever youth league. They're all organized independently all over the country. So nobody has any control over anything. Who are you going to sue? You have to sue at the local level if you find somebody. And what do you do if you're a parent out there? Well, first of all, you got to be very vigilant, because if I had a kid today that was playing in kids' sports, first thing I'd say to the league, do you do any screening? Screening for these people that are coaching. And if they say they don't, get your kid out of there and get them into a league that has screening and protecting kids through that screening process. So, yeah, I'm going to tell you these kind of things that happen, and we find out through our press box research that there are stories that we will be bringing to you each week from all over the country of all kinds of things that happen that make Johnny hates youth sports. So we're going to end this and go to that new segment that we've got with my friend Ross Smith, and it's called Extra Innings. Here we go.
Extra Innings with Fred and Ross.
Hey, I just saw you out there with a putter out there on the green, and you look like you're putting and missed one of those many putts that you miss all the time. Morning, Ross.
Good morning. Good morning. How we doing?
I'm doing good. What's that got on that hat? What's that
Got a little,
logo up there?
little Palm Beach Nash logo to it.
Oh, you're looking good this morning.
Yeah, got me
Hey,
a fresh haircut, Fred. What do you think, man? Got it all trimmed up,
yeah,
trying to
it's
keep it
good.
tight like
I
you.
like it. I think you look good. I don't know about that cart that you're in. It's, not the luxury golf cart, but it's good enough. And I like the way that you set up your your little cell phone.
I'm always going to be here for you. You know that.
Yeah, you're getting me all choked up. Anyway, hey, Ross, you know the thing about NIL now with the colleges? That is amazing. And you being a former college and professional athlete, I got to read this to you, and I want you to tell me what you think. It said in June of 2025, a federal court approved the landmark House versus the NCAA settlement, making a transformative shift in college sports. The settlement includes 2.8 billion in back damages. Remember that, Ross, back damages for athletes who are unable to profit from their name, image, and likeness, NIL, between 2016 and 2024, just last year.
Mm-hmm.
So starting with these schools, I got to ask you the question. It's the old day late and a dollar short or whatnot with Ross Smith, former college athlete.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way, just a little bit. But then they think about the people that played before me too. So, they could be feeling the same type of way. I don't know why they only went back to the certain years that they went back to, but I think it's just like you said, a day late and a dollar short, but at least they're trying to do something to compensate for how much time and effort that these people are having to sacrifice to, compete at a high level and be, a college student as well. It's not easy.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, that you were in college or you went to Auburn,
Hmm.
played ball.
Hmm.
Now I know, with this $2.8 billion being spread out to all these different colleges, yeah, they look and they say, well, the football program brings in this much and
Hmm.
basketball, but
Hmm.
baseball, I mean, I've been to college baseball games and there weren't too many people paying money. So what do
Hmm.
you think happens to those poor baseball players?
Um, Well, I mean, it's all relative to like the amount of money that you bring in. There's some schools that don't have any type of baseball program whatsoever, as far as outside of just like the people that play. I was fortunate enough to go to Auburn, where we brought in a pretty few thousand amount of people every weekend. So I can understand the deviation of different types of money to those kids. And I don't know
What do
how
you
you
got a
scale
lot of
that.
you got a lot of bugs out there, Ross?
Dude, we're in South Georgia. It is Nat Central out here, brother. It is unbelievable bad.
I thought you were drawing those flies.
I actually took a shower this morning, so I don't stink. It can't be that. But as far as like what goes on with the schooling, I mean, I don't really have say. It is what it is right now. What I don't like about the whole situation is how the kids act because they're making money now. Back then, you used to play with people that enjoyed playing because you enjoyed it. Now, if you're not paying enough or not getting enough playing time, it's becoming crooked.
Yeah, I mean, it just baffles my mind that with that, I mean, college athletics today is just, I don't know, I can't get it. I mean, you got like what's his name for Cooper for Duke basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he got like $9 million just to come to transfer to Duke to play basketball. I
And then
mean,
why would you go in the draft if you're making that much money?
yeah.
I
So
mean, you're going to get X amount of million, but you could get a college degree. You get a college degree and stay in school and get a piece of paper and not, make millions of dollars doing that. I don't see the urge to go pro anymore.
yeah, I mean, why would somebody, if they're making that kind of money, in college, uh, I guess you got to go to college just to get accepted, to be able to get that money. Is that the way you think it works, or?
Ah, it's completely lost its luster to where, this whole word commitment these days is not real. It's in my mind, it's basically free agency every year in college, where if I can just go somewhere and make more money, I don't care what happened the year before, or who my coach was, or what they did playing time wise. I'll go somewhere that just makes more money.
Yeah, yeah, why not?
Year by year
Well,
contracts.
yeah, right. I tell you what, though, you got to go hit your ball next, or what? Should we
Nah,
go to the next thing?
they can give me the buggy. It's all right. I'd rather talk to you, Fred.
You would? You
Yeah,
mean
brother.
because where'd you hit the last ball?
Uh, right here.
Okay. Hey, you know what? Let's go to what you told me one time. I was walking out the golf course, and of course, that's where I met Ross. He's working at the golf course there. He left the Cardinals farm team and decided to come down and Florida and be on that golf course. So he really has to work hard. As you can see, he's out there really working hard today. But Ross said to me one day, "Hey, I really liked your book. I liked the book that I've written about all these different people I have had the opportunity to meet. So, Ross, what do you got for me today?"
I got to bring up, well, we kind of teased it last week, but the meeting you had with your interaction and then ultimate friendship you had with Cal Ripken Jr. I was really intrigued about that. That chapter in your book was really fascinating.
Yeah, you know how fascinating it was. I mean, it was crazy. I'm at my desk one day, and I'm looking at my email, and all of a sudden I see an email from Cal Ripken Jr. And I said, "Yeah, right,
No
Cal,
way.
Cal
No
Ripken,
way.
huh?"
No way. I mean, just out of the blue, you had an email from Cal Ripken Jr.?
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm saying, hey, he's not going to email me. So I said, I'll look at it because it's probably somebody like Ross Smith play a prank on me. So I go in there and I look and it says, Fred, I just want you to know I read your book and I really liked it. And I thought it was a great book about kids in sports. And I'm thinking, hey, this might be Cal Ripken. And he
Now,
says at the end, yeah. So he says at the end, come up and see me if you're ever in Baltimore. Can you imagine that?
I'd make a flight pretty quick for no reason to go up to Baltimore. I'm just saying.
That's kind of what I did.
That man, the Iron Man tells you to come visit. I'm going to go visit, brother, for sure.
Yeah. So I took his flight. I actually, I had to go, I had a speaking engagement at the University of Delaware, and I flew into Baltimore because that's the closest airport they could get. And I rented a car and I drove out. He gave me the address and I went up and I walked in the office. And I'm like, my stomach's churning upside down and around because, you know, I'm from Maryland and I've known Cal Ripken Jr.
So he's
forever.
meeting an idol, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, almost everybody's idol. So his secretary said, Mr. Ripken's his office said, when you come in, come on in. I'm like, I'm shaking. I'm thinking, oh no. I walk in the room and hey, how you doing, man? I said, have a seat. And he comes behind his desk and goes, sits over there. I thought, okay, this is going to be like 3 or 4 minutes. And he's going to say, it's nice seeing you. I got a lot of stuff to do. You think I'm kidding you, but it was an hour and a half later that he got a note from his secretary. He says, Mr. Ripken, you have to be over in Aberdeen today for a photo shoot. And Aberdeen is about an hour away from Baltimore. Mm-hmm. And it's where he has his league fields for all these kids and stadiums that are replica stadiums. And he said, hey, you mind driving me over there? And I said,
that's what I wanted to ask you about the chapter was it before he was doing his Cal Ripken experience thing in Aberdeen? Or were you influential to him with any bit of that, with the timing of his building that, making kind of the awesome experience that he has with that Cal Ripken experience?
Yeah. I mean, when he did that, he wanted to create youth baseball programs. And so, he built all these stadiums and they looked like it. Well, let me tell you before we get there, we're riding down the road. We've got 95 and I'm driving down the road with him. I'm thinking, somebody riding by here looking to say, hey, that's Cal Ripken Jr. Who the hell's that guy he's with?
And you got to wonder.
So we get there and I'm thinking, all right, he said, thanks a lot for the ride. He said, no. Look, ride around. I want to show you the different ballparks. They go around looking at the different ballparks. Holy cow. I mean, I'm
beautiful, right?
Huh?
Beautiful, right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, he's got the one with the Red Sox.
Yeah.
The green wall, and it's built, for kids baseball, but it's a replica of it. I mean, it's just fantastic looking, and then, of course, it's still there today. And huh? You broke up a little.
I was fortunate enough to go to Cooperstown as a player and then as a coach later in life. And then I did the same thing with the Cal Ripken experience. And I think the Cal Ripken experience not only rivaled, but was better than the Cooperstown experience. And that was made to be like the mecca of like youth travel baseball growing up. So Cal Ripken definitely, I mean, he hit it on the head with what he's got going on between Aberdeen and I think his second spot in Pigeon Forge, I believe, is the other spot.
So you got something in common with me?
I have this awesome show with you. That's about as much as I belong with you, brother. You're way ahead of my time.
All right. So anyway, I get there. We get finished. He takes me inside and introduces me to his mother. And I thought, okay, I guess I'm going to leave now. And he said, hey, you want to come up and watch a little bit of the game up in one of the fields? There was a game going on. Nobody out in left field where the stadium he has for one of the ballpark. I'm sitting there with Cal Ripken. He's still talking about. He's telling me about his son playing baseball at the time, and was, I don't know, about like 12 years old. He's telling me how his son comes in, and I tried to tell him, and my son tells me, he said, "What the hell do you know about it?" He said, "Can you imagine your son is telling you you've been major leagues for however long, and you don't think you know anything about baseball?" But
That's
anyway,
father-son relationship, isn't it?
I didn't hear that again. You're right between swings, I guess. What did
No,
you
I'm right
just
here sitting in the cart, brother. Just talking to you. I hadn't gotten out.
say?
Can you hear me?
Hey, yeah, listen, I'm going to let you go because you're breaking up a little bit. You're getting too far away from the
You
tee.
got me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah.
you now.
Yeah. I
You're
just got to
kind
get a
of
little
good.
closer, I guess. I don't want to break the
Yeah,
screen on you.
yeah, that's it. A little bit better, but
Good. I was saying that's typical father-son relationship, isn't it? Telling the son, telling the father he doesn't know anything, even though he's been in the big leagues for 20 years.
hey, I got to tell you at the end of the story, I thought it was the end of me seeing Cal, and I thought, oh wow, man, whatever. I'll end up someday telling Ross Smith this story. But anyway, what happened is we have our national meeting, youth sport directors from all over the country, and it was in Indianapolis, and they were looking for a keynote speaker. Now, Cal Ripken Jr., I should say,
Junior. Yeah.
he gets an invitation, or he didn't get an invitation, but they invited him through me to be the speaker. Now he gets $50,000 for a speaking engagement. Guess what he charged us? Zero.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. He came with his couple of buddies, kind of bodyguards, but
Sure.
yeah,
That man
amazing
just wants
guy.
to give back, man. That's all he did. I think that's what he did for the experience. That Cal Ripken thing he's got going on. Obviously, it makes money and it's a business, but the idea behind it and the drive was he wanted to give back. He loved the sport and he wanted to give back to what gave him a whole lot. So I think there are a lot of like minds out there like that. There's not as many as there should be, and definitely not as many as there used to be. I think NIL is kind of making it more of a selfish type of game as opposed to a team game. But people like Cal Ripken definitely had the good vibe going for a long time, and I hope it continues.
Yeah, that was the amazing thing that I've found about him is, and I've had the opportunity through our organization to be able to meet a lot of characters that
Yeah.
I talk about in the book. But he was one that stood out of being somebody that was just a regular guy. I
Yeah.
mean, isn't it like, hey, I'm Cal Ripken Jr.
Not the Iron Man or anything like that. I'm Cal Ripken Jr.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like when I met with him there, I was sitting in the room, and his secretary came in the second time and said, "Mr. Ripken, this from somebody in Washington." I thought, "Damn, a president's going to talk to him," but it wasn't the president. What it was the hospital. His wife was ill at the time, but they wanted to bring a helicopter there to pick him up and take him down to a meeting with the Washington Nationals to be their manager. Yeah. And he said, "No, I'm not going to go. I got to go up to my ballpark for kids." And I said, when he hung up with him, I said, did you, excuse me for butting in or listening, I couldn't help it. I said, "Are they asking you to be the manager of the Washington Nationals?" "Yeah, they're wanting." Yeah, so it's the kind of guy he was. I mean, he just, hey, I'm not going to do it. It was just so. Anyway, hey, I want you to have a great time at the golf course because it looked like you are, and I want you to par the next hole. What hole are you on now?
I appreciate it, friend. great time, but I apologize. I'll talk to you next week. Okay.
All right, Ross. I'll see you next week. Good seeing you.
In this best-selling book, a child, while failing to live up to his father's expectations, is shamed and humiliated beyond belief. He vows to never allow his own son to face the same.
There you got it. That's why Johnny hates sports, with our extra innings and the press box. So I hope we entertained you a little bit this week, because it's getting close to next week, which is 4th of July weekend. And you can listen to this on the radio, but you won't be able to hear me and Ross banter back and forth. So in the meantime, then, I want you to have a great weekend and a great 4th of July weekend. Have those days off. Shoot those fireworks, folks. See ya.
This program is sponsored by Sir Durf Publishing in the interest for better sports for kids, better kids for life.